5.
October moons have presided over a lot of World Series moments that engaged men to destiny. Moments that turned journeyman ballplayers into legends.
It is over the fence, home run, the Pirates win.
If it stays there, it's gone. Home run!
Consider Lonnie Smith. He's worked through personal problems and was put in the lineup as a late season fill-in.
Here's Lonnie hitting one a ton to tie it.
Consider Brian Harper. The book on him, good bat, weak glove. They're rewriting the book.
Here comes a runner trying to score. He is out.
Consider Mark Lemke, who barely made the roster.
Lemke hits it into left field. Here comes Justice. Save! And Atlanta wins it. He hits one deep into left center field. That's being chased at the wall. He's going to end up at third with one out.
And finally, Jerry Willard. His job was to drive in Lemke, and he made the ultimate sacrifice.
Here's the throw from Matt. Here's Lemke. He is safe.
It makes you wonder just who it will be on this night when two teams are tied at 2 and 2 victories away from glory as another October moon presides over us all. Well, let's just say it's a whole new ball game. Welcome back to Atlanta, Georgia, where they're no longer fit to be tied. Heck, they are tied. And now everywhere you look, either they're tomahawking or just plain hawking.
Let's go.
And you thought this was a party at the beginning of the week. Now they're rocking around the clock. So put a little extra mustard on that dog. Grab yourself some peanuts or Cracker Jack, and come on in. You are our guest for Game 5. It's the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves here on CBS Sports. And hi again, everybody. After 4 games, I'm still Pat O'Brien. He's still Tommy Lasorda. Hi, Tommy. How are you?
Pat, how you doing?
For the first time in 3 years, we have a Game 5 in the World Series, and what a series this has been. Folks, only once before in the annals of the Fall Classic have 3 straight games been decided in the winning team's last turn at bat. That was back in 1915 with the Red Sox and the Phillies. President Woodrow Wilson was in the stands there. Here in Atlanta, we've had President Carter. Tommy, you told us back in Minnesota that the Braves had to sweep at home. Tonight, then, is a crucial game for Atlanta in your mind.
Absolutely. They have to sweep the ball game here because of the fact that it's a best-of-3 series now. Now they're going to go back to Minnesota. If they win this ball game tonight, now all they have to do is go back and win 1 or 2. If they don't, it's going to be very difficult for them to win 2 games in Minnesota, Pat.
The players endorsed that theory to me on the field earlier, Tommy. Let's talk about tonight's pitching matchup as we see Kevin Tapani arriving earlier. Tapani won Game 2 by doing what he does best, using his control to get ahead in the count and keep men off base. For the Braves, Tom Glavine gets the nod. He's 0-3 this postseason, but he has pitched well. In fact, his postseason ERA is only 2.45, and I spoke to him about the biggest start of his career. How are you going to handle that pressure? I mean, are you one of these guys that loves that kind of pressure?
I don't know if I love it. I mean, it really hasn't been that big a deal to me, in all honesty. I felt very relaxed in the 3 postseason games I've been in. I felt real relaxed up there the other night in Minnesota in that start. So I don't think it's that big a deal. I'm just going to try and go out there and just get into a groove and do what I do naturally and forget about everything else.
Not a big deal, Game 5 of the World Series. Back in the opener, Tommy, Braves manager Bobby Cox stayed with his starting rotation, and Charlie Leibrandt, who was hit hard. Tonight he's making the switch to Tom Glavine. The young 20-game winner has pitched 4 times this season on 3 days rest with mixed results. And Tommy, is this a good move?
I think it is a good move because if you remember when we left Minnesota, I said that Tommy Glavine would pitch game number 5. Everybody says he's tired. I said he was tired. But at the time like this, you have to remember, this young man has pitched around 270 innings. That's quite a lot for a young man. And if he's tired, he's not going to show it. This guy is one of the finest change-of-pace pitchers in the game today. If he does that, he'll be victorious.
It's pretty cool down there warming up. A live shot of him there. Turning to the Twins, Tommy, you said that Kirby Puckett and Kent Hrbek have to be more productive. Well, they are a combined 5 for 32 with only 2 runs batted in, and those came on solo home runs. Hrbek in particular is having all sorts of problems against lefties, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and he's not taking good swings off of. These two fellas are the leaders on the ball club. How their bat responds, that's the way their team is going to go. If these two guys hit like they're capable, they're going to bring in some runs. Right now, they're not doing the job. But, hey, there's still a lot more to go yet. You can rest assured of one thing. You are going to hear from Mr. Kirby and Mr. Hrbek before this thing is all over.
Punctuation mark. Before the game, I asked Hrbek about this slump and how he plans to break out of it. What's going on with your bat?
It's very silent right now. And hopefully we can get it taken care of here.
You worried about it?
Soon. I'm worried about it because there's situations in both games that I could have driven in some runs and never did it. So, but I tell you right now, there isn't really one guy on any team that's really tearing the cover off the ball right now. And, things get magnified right away if any big men aren't hitting the ball. So there's situations where I could have driven in some runs and I didn't. That's what's bugging me right now.
Meantime, Minnesota manager Tom Kelly is shaking things up. He's sending his designated hitter Chili Davis into right field in place of Shane Mack, who has gone 0 for the World Series. Davis has homered in games 1 and 3, and we asked the Twins skipper about this key lineup change.
We need some more offense, Pat. And we're playing these games very, very competitively, but we've come up short. So that tells me we play very, very competitively again tonight and maybe come up short again if I leave the same lineup. So we're going to make an effort to try to get another run or 2 on the board.
How's Chili in the field?
Well, he hasn't been out there but 3 or 4 innings this year, and he's been a great DH for us. He's been in the outfield for the Angels in the past. That's why he's a DH now.
So he didn't answer. Last night, one of the classic confrontations at home plate involved Lonnie Smith, who tried to score from second base, only to see Brian Harper waiting for him with the ball at the plate. And although Tom Kelly may claim that baseball isn't rocket science, we don't leave anything to chance.
From a physicist's point of view, Lonnie Smith is a 170-pound projectile coming down the baseline, accelerating to a speed of 15 miles per hour. He then collides with Brian Harper, moving him back about 2 feet. Brian Harper weighs about 195 pounds. And using the standard laws of introductory physics, you then find that the average force turns out to be 649 pounds. That means that Brian Harper absorbed about a 650-pound blow. Although the blow to Brian Harper was spread out, much like an airbag in a car, the force was equivalent to being tomahawk chopped at 4 feet by a 10-pound sledgehammer.
That guy gets an A for that.
CBS thinks of everything, don't they, Pat?
You know, when you think of the World Series and heroes, right away you think of Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, Kirk Gibson, and naturally, Mark Lemke. His story is next as we roll on from the Jewel of the South here on CBS.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 5 of the 1991 World Series.
Absolutely beautiful night for baseball. 73 degrees and clear skies. You know, 2 months ago, I don't think any of us would have thought we'd be devoting a segment of our World Series coverage to Mark Lemke. But isn't that how baseball works?
It's a dream come true for, American kid growing up wanting to be a ball player.
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free.
I think he's a hero. He epitomizes the whole team's effort. He's really good. It's good to see a little man do something for a change.
Remarkable. There's nothing else we can say. Our hero twice this week.
This morning in the paper, that's a larger headline than Saddam Hussein got in Atlanta in January. So Mark is well on his way.
Stepped back momentarily last night, took a look around the stadium, and trying just to get a glimpse of really where I'm at, you know, and hopefully it won't be too late before I realize where I really am.
For you kids out there with dreams, that could be you someday. Commercial. Back, you know, it has been a great week in Atlanta, and unless you're from Minnesota, everybody down here has enjoyed the Southern hospitality, and a couple of guys who somehow always make you feel so safe at home, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. Good evening, Mr. Buck.
Good evening. Thank you, Pat O'Brien. Folks, could this possibly get any better? Tim, if our viewers will hearken back to the Pittsburgh-Atlanta series, everything seemed to revolve around third base. Here, we've come down to home plate, where you used to make a living.
That home plate has been the stops for the Atlanta Braves, the last stops over the last 2 days. The night before last, the bottom of the 12th inning with Mark Lemke, the batter, 2 outs, and David Justice on at second base. Watch what Lemke does. Base hit to left field. Justice comes around to score, sliding inside. Brian Harper inside the line, avoiding the tag. Last night, Jerry Willard, the batter, with Mark Lemke again at third base. Steve Bedrosian on the mound. Watch Shane Mack get in position, make a strong throw, and just miss Mark Lemke. I think the interesting thing about that slide was, or those slides, David Justice came inside, Mark Lemke came outside.
And Mack made a heck of a throw from right field. Do you think we'll see a throw like that tonight from Chili Davis?
Now, Chili Davis, I don't think Chili Davis is going to have a tough time catching the ball tonight. However, you're dealing with the spring training arm. No starts in right field this year, only 6 last year. So 6 starts in right field for the last 2 years for Chili Davis. If I'm the Atlanta Braves, I run on him every chance I get.
Our national anthem is next. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. Well, the folks are all comfortable here in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Let's meet the players and meet the PA announcer of the Braves, Marshall Mann.
Tonight by the Air University Honor Guard from Maxwell Air Force Base, Montgomery, Alabama. Please stand, and to honor America, join in the singing of our national anthem, which will be presented tonight by the 1991 Country Music Association Male Vocalist of the Year and MCA recording artist, Vince Gill.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, why does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Come what may, this is the last home game for the Braves here in Atlanta in '91. The two pitchers are still in their respective bullpens, but we're ready to go with Game 5 in a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 5 of the 1991 World Series.
The Twins and the Braves are tied at 2 games each. This is Game 5 at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Moments ago, the ceremonial first pitch involved 2 honorable gentlemen. Bobby Thompson, who hit the home run against Ralph Branca for the Giants in 1951. It won the pennant for the Giants. And the crowd enjoyed meeting them. And you folks will enjoy hearing from our third member of our team, Jim Kaat.
All right, Jack, last night we had a couple of power pitchers, right-handers John Smoltz, Jack Morris. Tonight, a little different look. Kevin Tapani, the Minnesota right-hander, depends on a good changeup, as does Tommy Glavine from the Braves. Tapani is a 3-pitch pitcher with a very deceptive fastball, a split finger, but the pitch he depends on to get hitters out, the changeup. Tommy Glavine will throw fastball, occasional slider. You're going to see a lot of these. This is a 2-finger or 2-seam circle changeup. It acts almost like a screwball. Tapani and Glavine will both be using this pitch effectively as they did in Game 2. They'll use that pitch to keep the hitters off balance. It should be a great exhibition of pitchers that know how to move the ball in and out and destroy the hitters' timing with finesse rather than power. Looking for a great matchup, Jack.
That's Jim Kaat, who pitched 25 years in the big leagues. And here's Tom Glavine trying to win his first postseason game. And here is the lineup, which will be presented by the Minnesota Twins with Dan Gladden at left. Chuck Knobloch at second base. Kirby Puckett in center. Chili Davis starting in right field. And Brian Harper catching. He took a whipping last night. Scott Leyes at third base. Ken Herbeck at first. Greg Gagne the shortstop. And Kevin Tapani will be the hurler for the Twins.
Defensively for the Atlanta Braves, Lonnie Smith will be in left field. Ron Gant will be the center fielder. David Justice in right. Terry Pendleton at third. Rafael Belliard at short. Mark Lemke will be the second baseman. Sid Bream at first base, and behind the plate, Greg Olson.
So that takes us to Dan Gladden leading it off. Left fielder for the Twins, and he is 3 out of 16 in the series. Here we go. All one. Gladden, Knobloch, and Puckett in the first for the Twins. Will that little fella be involved again tonight? Mark Lemke at second base. Doesn't have that many hits, that many RBIs, but he's been in the middle of everything.
Game-winning RBI 2 nights ago. He scored the winner last night.
1-1 to Gladden. Working his first World Series is Rick Reed of the American League behind the plate. With Ed Montague, Don Denkinger, Harry Wendelstedt, Drew Coble, and Terry Tata. Two balls and a strike. 3 days rest for each of these pitchers.
And continuing with Jim Kaat's point, it's very interesting. I think Kitty made a good point. I do not think that either pitcher will be affected because of 3 days rest. Power pitchers are more affected by 3 days rest and only 3 days rest than pitchers that throw like Glavine and Tapani.
To Lemke. Took a nasty little hop and he throws him out. That's the way we start. Once again, we've been very fortunate with the weather. Sometimes we get rain this time of year down here in Georgia, but it's been perfect now. We go back under the dome Saturday night at Minneapolis. And so no weather problems in the entire World Series or in the entire playoff for that matter. This is Knobloch, who has 5 hits. 5 out of 14. Anthony.
And in that game Saturday night, it will be Steve Avery against Scott Erickson, even though there is concern on the part of the Twins about Erickson and his last two performances, one in the ALCS and one in the World Series.
Into right field, and there is justice to out. In fact, the manager of the Twins, Tom Kelly, didn't really say that Scott Erickson will be the starter on Saturday night. He said it kind of depends how this one turns out.
Putting much more emphasis on this game now that the Twins have lost 2 in a row than on any other game. Clearly, and talking to us before the ball game tonight.
There are 2 out. And here's Kirby Puckett, 2 out of 16, as Pat O'Brien and Tom Lasorda pointed out in the pregame show. He has had 1 home run. First 2 have been retired, and ball 1 to Kirby.
That changeup that Jim Cott talked about, thrown in unusual fashion by Tommy Glavine. A hitter is more inclined to swing at the arm motion of the pitcher instead of the ball.
Sometimes pitchers will start out throwing hard stuff and then switch over to the changeup, and that's the way Glavine started out. Off-speed pitches all the way. 1-1 with 2 out.
That last pitch, the circle changeup. And there it is right there. The split fingers serve as a method of choking the ball. And there was another one. You choke the ball, you hold it back in the hand. The arm comes through with the same movement, but the ball's not there. And that is what deceives the hitters.
Glavine has learned that art in a big hurry in professional baseball. To the shortstop, Belliard. Down go the Twins, 1, 2, 3. To the mound, Kevin Tapani for the Atlanta first. No score after 1/2 inning. Tom Kelly, the skipper of the Twins. And across the way in the first base dugout, Bobby Cox. Kevin Tapani lost 1 game to Toronto in the American League Championship Series, but then he won Game 2 of this series. Here's the Atlanta lineup tonight, same as last night. Lonnie Smith in left, Terry Pendleton at third, Ron Gannon center, David Justice in right, Sid Bream playing first, Greg Olson catching, Mark Lemke at second, Belliard at short, and you just saw Tommy Glavine.
Defensively for the Minnesota Twins, you'll find Dan Gladden in left field, Kirby Puckett in center field, and the key defensive player in this game, Chili Davis, is the right fielder. He has not played right field this year. He has played only 3 innings in 2 games in left field, and he started only 6 times in right field last year. Scott Leyes at third base, Greg Gagne at shortstop, Chuck Knobloch the second baseman, Kent Hrbek will be at first, and Brian Harper behind the plate.
First up for Atlanta is Lonnie Smith. He has had 3 hits in the series, 2 of them home runs. His homer in the 7th inning last night tied the game. Smith, Pendleton, and Gant. And let's hear from Jim Cott at this point.
Well, Jack and Tim, you mentioned Chili Davis playing right field, and you can keep your eyes on Kirby Puckett because he's the guy that's going to be moving Chili Davis around against these Atlanta hitters and telling him where to play.
He's the quarterback in center field. Ball 1 to Smith.
Usually the chop here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium is out towards center. Maybe they ought to take a right and do the chop out toward right, hoping that more balls would be hit to right field tonight since Chili's out there and having not played there all year.
When we last saw him in the National League, he was playing a terrific center field for the San Francisco Giants.
And then he went to the California Angels, where he made 19 errors to lead the majors 3 years ago.
To the third baseman, Elias. And the out at first base. Scott Elias has given up some defense and offense in this series. Tapani, in pitching 8 innings and beating the Braves in Game 2, did not walk a man.
Walked only 1.5 during the season. Excellent control.
Gary Pendleton, 4 hits in the series, and he bunts. Oh, and a bang play at first.
Yeah, Bobby Cox is going to argue that one.
Good play by Tapani, the pitcher. He's the one who made the throw.
Gary Pendleton trying to get it past Tapani to make Elias feel the ball. And he doesn't bunt it quite hard enough, but a fine play by Tapani backhanding it and throwing to first. He looks safe. Rick Reed, the first, I beg your pardon, Ed Montague at first. That was bang bang, but I thought the shoe beat the ball.
Couldn't have been closer, could it?
Nope.
And there are 2 out. Jim Cott, what do you think?
Well, all first basemen are trained, as we've seen, to come off that bag as quickly as possible, and it did appear from here he had it beat.
Ball 1 inside to the number 3 hitter, Ron Gant. Gant 5 hits in the series, no home runs. And the count 1-1.
Take another look at the play. There's the foot. Well, I'll tell you. Looked like it was just entering the glove when the foot was on the bag.
Gant chased a bad ball, and he's in the hole. Twins went down in order in the top half, and the first 2 Braves have been retired. Two and 2.
That was a purpose pitch. The purpose was to get Ron Gant off the plate so Tapani can go back outside. Here it is right here. In off the plate, pushing Gant back, and now he'll probably go back outside. Watch Harper.
Count stays 2 and 2.
See, every pitch is not designed to get a hitter out. Some pitches are the prelude to getting a hitter out, and that's that fastball tight, slider away. That was the sequence to Gant. Here's the splitter.
And he got him. Both sides down in order in the first after 1 no score. No score after 1, no base runners after 1. Lovely evening here in Atlanta. It'll be Davis, Harper, and Elias for the Twins. And so Minnesota gets Chili Davis into the starting lineup tonight. He's a switch hitter, as you probably know. And he is 2 out of 7 in the series. Both hits home runs. 1 here, 1 there. And Tommy Glavine tries to win his first postseason game. gets ahead in the count. Happy evening for this little girl down here. Only 3 games remaining in this entire 1991 campaign, and this is, it's the most there can be, and this is the final game of the season in Atlanta. Cut that one loose for strike 2.
I think the controversy surrounding Chili Davis's start tonight, and it's controversial because he hasn't started this year, swinging through the high fastball. Can he drive in more than he can let in defensively? That's it in a nutshell.
Time will tell here.
Chili Bowl.
1-2.
Timmy reminds me of a former teammate of mine, Jim Lemon, when he said there's only one way to play the outfield. Swing that bat.
Best defense is a good offense, huh?
Too much time taken by Glavine, and Davis steps out. Here's another former catcher at home plate.
Signed as a catcher. Chili Davis signing with the San Francisco Giants. Charles Chili Davis.
Pops it up foul, and Breen chases it. 1 out. The plate umpire last night under a great deal of pressure was Terry Tata.
When he got the ball on the fair side of the foul line and went to go, I never saw the glove, and I only saw his elbow go into Lemke. I never saw the glove touch him, and therefore there was no doubt in my mind that he never tagged him, and ultimately he was safe.
And ultimately the umpire was correct. The batter is Brian Harper, and he hits one to Lemke. 2 out.
Well, Terry Tata was correct last night, but think of it, folks, if you will, for a second. If you're the home plate umpire and the guts it took to take that call and to make that call. I mean, it was ever so close. Harper was bringing that glove around to tag Mark Lemke, and he ended up tagging him with his elbow. He made contact, but the ball, he didn't apply the tag.
There are 2 out, and Scott Leyes is up. 2 for 9 with a home run. Ball 1 low from Glavine. And that's ball 2. Balls and a strike. These Braves are going to fly to Minnesota tomorrow. They wanted to work out tomorrow evening in the Metrodome, but there's a college football game there. Michigan and Minnesota, and Bobby Cox was a little disturbed about that. You need all the practice you can get in that strange atmosphere up at the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome.
Yeah, if it were a normal ballpark, you'd say, well, they played 170 plus games. Who needs the work? But going back to the Metrodome with that white ceiling, the white ball against the ceiling, you need all the work they can get.
3-1, and that one is going to be well in front of Ron Gant, and that's the first hit of the night. Leyes gets his 3rd hit, a 2-out single in the 2nd.
Scott Leyes, trying to become a star in the big leagues, is a good friend of movie star Matt Dillon. They both grew up in Mamaroneck, New York, and Mamaroneck High School. Both attended Mamaroneck, and they still bum together. Scott Leyes and Matt Dillon.
These folks have a friendly rivalry going with Ken Hrbek. He's been struggling with the bat. 3 out of 16. One of the hits a home run. Minnesota has had a tough time here in Atlanta getting the clutch hits with men in scoring position. Don't get personal now, folks. Leyes at first, 2 out.
Tommy Glavine with 7 pickoffs on the year. The Atlanta Braves led the majors this year with 33 pickoffs. 33.
Ball, 1 strike.
Give you an idea of how many pickoffs those are. The St. Louis Cardinals picked off 3 runners this year. The Minnesota Twins, by comparison, picked off 11. Atlanta, 33.
That puts it in good order for the folks. And they've got him picked off. Bream's throw. Out at second base. 1-3-6. No score. An inning and a half.
It looked like Scott Leyes was going to run the minute Glavine picked his foot up. The interesting thing, watch the move by Sid Bream. You see him come toward Glavine, position himself to throw right there. That puts him in good position. The throw a little high, the tag very quick by Belliard, and Leyes is out.
And that takes care of an inning and a half. Leyes thought that Belliard had missed him. David Justice has 4 hits, including a home run in this series. Hit 21 home runs during the regular season. There's dinner tonight at the ballpark. Justice, Bream, and Olson in the Atlanta second. Strike 2. Tapani can get that fastball past some hitters.
Especially when the hitters are looking for the off-speed pitches. When that hitter is zeroed in on the off-speed pitch, that fastball looks a lot faster than it really is. Tapani's not a hard thrower.
And down goes Justice. 4 in a row by the Twins starter. His second strikeout.
Oh, that sequence was set up by the straight change and what Tapani did to Justice at the Metrodome. 0-2 pitch. If you miss inside. And he didn't miss.
No doubt about that strike. Now it's Sid Bream. He's struggling. 2 out of 14. Tapani ahead on the count. It seemed that's what he was doing all night long in game 2. Strike 1, strike 1, strike 1. Strike 2. The umpire's got a pretty good arm. And the folks start the serenade. Goes Bream. That's 3 strikeouts in a row for Tapani. He's taking care of the first 5. He'll deal with Olson. Greg has had 3 out of 12 and 5 walks to go with those 3 hits. Tapani has been perfect. Puckett coming to it, and it drops for the first Atlanta hit.
You notice even on that play, Kirby Puckett stepping in front of Willie Davis, or Chili Davis, I beg your pardon. Watch Kirby Puckett. Now this is a little Texas leaguer. Chili Davis over, but watch Puckett cross in front of Davis to try to protect Chili Davis. See, Davis went down after it. Puckett cut in front of him. And he's going to try to do that all night. so Chili Davis doesn't have to throw. The interesting thing is when a ball is hit to Davis, what he does after he catches it. Catching it's not the problem. Throwing it will be, I think.
Well, here is Mark Lemke, everybody's Atlanta hero. He's had 5 hits plus a walk. He's driven in 1 run. He's scored a winning run. He bats with 2 out in the second.
Chili Davis, I call him Willie Davis, number 3 with the Dodgers for so many years. And I guess I was looking at Tommy Lasorda when I said it. Tommy's up here, manager of the Dodgers. And it was Tommy who told us last night that if he were the manager, he didn't care how many innings Chili Davis had played this year. He'd start him tonight, and sure enough, Tom Kelly starts him. The managers think alike.
Tom Kelly said we played 2 pretty good games and we lost. Well, don't want to lose again. 1-1 to Lemke. His triple last night set up the winning run. Scored in the 9th inning. After triple with 1 out. There's Jimmy Williams supposed to get third. Seen it. They walk Blauser and the sacrifice fly by Willard, and that won it. There goes Olsen. Surprisingly, he steals it and goes on to third with 2 out.
I think Bobby Cox and his team have learned something about the throwing of Brian Harper. They're opening it up more. Greg Olson had 1 stolen base in the league championship series. This ball hits Olson, caroms into shallow left, and he's on at third base. Here's a guy who stole 1 base during the season, and he has 2 in postseason play.
Now goes to ball 4 to Lemke, and he joins Olson on base.
So you have 2 defensive vulnerable areas tonight. Harper behind the plate and throwing the second or the third, and Chili Davis in right field when he catches the ball throwing to one of the bases.
2 out single by Olson, stolen base, an error, then a walk. Error charged to the catcher Harper on the throw.
And that sign he was given to Tapani was, what do you do if Mark Lemke runs?
Another of the Atlanta little people at the plate. Kelly Arnold. Hits it to short. Force out, and we have a scoreless 2 innings. 2 left for the Braves. And an error.
No score, and with one of Atlanta's #1 citizens, Evander Holyfield, the heavyweight champion of the world, got some news for you. November 23rd, he is now going to fight Francisco Damiani, the Olympic champion from Italy. How disappointed are you that the Tyson thing didn't come on?
I'm very disappointed. Something that the public wanted to see, the best 2 heavyweights fight, but I get an opportunity to fight here in front of hometown Atlanta, so I'm happy.
You think Tyson Holyfield will ever happen?
It's possible. I never could say, I hope that it come off, but if it don't, I'm not going to worry about it.
$30 million, too.
Well, that ain't no problem. If I fight 3 fights, I can make that.
No problem losing $30 million. What about the game? You're a big Braves fan.
Well, I'm looking forward to Atlanta taking them out. I've been a fan ever since Atlanta came here in '65. I used to work the concession stand now and get an opportunity to see them win this World Series.
Champ, good to talk to you. Up here eating Cracker Jacks. Back to you guys.
Kent Hrbek leads it off. There is a strike from Tommy Glavine. Hrbek was at the plate when Leyes was picked off to end the second. 3 fights, he could make $30 million.
Used to be a concessionaire here, huh? $30 million ain't peanuts, I'll tell you.
3 lifetimes I couldn't make. Who could? It'll be Herbeck, and then Gagne and Tapani in the third.
Herbeck entering the game 3 for 16 against Atlanta pitching. Much more understandable because he is the dominant left-handed batter in that lineup.
To Lemke's left. He's still going to get him.
Herbeck hits the ball rather hard. Lemke goes down, the ball comes up, and Lemke finds it in time to get Herbeck.
That starts the Twins' third inning. He might not have been so fortunate on AstroTurf. Gagne takes a ball.
On the other hand, the hop would have been truer. The ball is quicker on the artificial surface, but the hops are a lot truer.
You're right. Here's Gagne with a little flare into right field, and that ball drops fair, and he's going to get two with one out. That's the second hit of the night for the Twins.
And all of the hits have been similar. None have been hit hard. The single by Leas, the double by Gagne, and the single by Olson of the Braves. All flares. Pull the cord.
Well, here's Tapani. He used to swing the bat a little bit when he wore the Met uniform. 0 for 2 in the major leagues. A little bit.
Very little bit.
You never know, though. Lemke for the second out. Runner to third. Well, we know there will be a game 6, and it will be played in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. We're on the air at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. A couple more good pitchers are slated, with Steve Avery perhaps against Scott Erickson, but that's not certain that the Twins will start Erickson. The outcome of this game will help Tom Kelly make up his mind. Gladden could put the Twins on top here in the third. He grounded to second his first time. Lemke's been busy at second base with 4 chances. Did he go? No, says Ed Montague.
His body looked like he went, but I think he held his bat back.
Greg Gagne, the runner at third with 2 gone. When Glavine lost in the series, he only gave 3 hits in 8 innings and lost a 1-0 game. Did he go? Yes. 1 and 2.
He did the same thing on that swing. The body comes through, but this time he takes the bat with him. That's too far right there.
Gladden's been a good hitter in his postseason career, hitting over 400 with men on base. Count stays 1 and 2 with 2 out here in the third.
First 7 games of the ALCS and then 2 games of the series. Look at the runners in scoring position, 317 and 1 for 18 in the last 2 games.
That ball is fair and out at first. We're still scoreless, and we'll return to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. Braves bat in the third, no score. The aerial shots this evening from the Spirit of Akron. They're courtesy of Goodyear Tires. This evening's pilot is Captain Drew Marshall, and he is from Pompano Beach, Florida.
Well, this shot here is either an early Halloween shot. Halloween's next Thursday. Oh, the sweep. Oh, that's what the brooms are there for. Yeah. Hey, the last 2 games the Twins have played, they got to be feeling bewitched, bothered, and a little bewildered right now, huh?
Somebody's going to take a 3-2 edge here tonight, and Glavine leads it off. He's not a bad hitter. He had 17 hits during the season, ball 1. Drove in a half dozen, as you see. Glavine, Smith, and Pendleton in the 3rd. 1-1.
One thing Tommy Glavine gives the Braves is an extra hitter. So the Braves have 9 hitters, and the Minnesota Twins have 8. Kevin Tapani, I mean, you can't do anything about that. Only 2 major league at-bats. Glavine can hit.
He's in the hole.
17 hits this year, tied with Steve Avery and Greg Maddux for 2nd place. Tommy Green of the Philadelphia Phillies had 19 hits to lead the National League in hitting for pitchers.
Just inside, 2-2. Stopped before it got to the shortstop. That's the first out in the 3rd. Lonnie Smith grounded to 3rd his first time. Takes a little while coming to the plate to allow Glavine to get a little breather on the bench.
Momentum has changed to, I think, Atlanta now. The Twins with a 2-game edge coming in, and Atlanta with 2 remarkable games, Tuesday and Wednesday. It's back in their favor.
Another one for Gagne. He's flawless, 2 out.
I guess one thing adding to that, as history shows us, the Washington Senators and the Minnesota Twins, remember the Twins came to Minnesota, Minneapolis, 1961 from Washington. They have lost 13 consecutive road games in the World Series dating back to 1924. Actually 1925 when Walter Johnson beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-1. And that is an all-time World Series record. 13 consecutive road games.
Lost all 3 in St. Louis in '87. Pendleton with 2 out, foul ball.
Yeah, that was the only World Series ever where the home team won every game. Minnesota 2, and then the Cardinals won 3, and then the Twins became the world champions by winning games 6 and 7.
Pendleton tried to bunt his way on the first time, and Tapani threw him out. Gladden is there waiting for this one. And we have a scoreless 3 innings down here in Atlanta.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
A fast-moving game with no score after 3. And Minnesota's left 1, and they've lost a runner. And the Atlanta Braves have left a couple. They've had only 1 hit. So into the 4th. Let's zoom in on the CBS radio crew with Vin Scully and Johnny Bench and John Rooney and all those producers. No wonder they don't make any mistakes, Tim. Look at all the help they got. Frank Murphy and Bob Kipperman, John Rooney.
Looks like a team picture right there.
What a payroll. Knobloch leads it off in the 4th against Glavine. Ball 1 and 1 underway. Chuck flied out to right his first time. And he is 5 out of 15. Up the middle and on through for a leadoff single here in the 4th inning. All the way things have been going, something will happen in this one to liven it up, Tom Lasorda.
No question about it, Jack. These games have really been exciting. I'm telling you, they're great World Series contests.
You know, this series similar to 1981 when you clinched against Montreal. You started the World Series the next day. You won the first two, or you lost the first two and then won the next four.
That's right, Timmy. We won a ball game in Montreal. It was a best of three in those days, and Rick Mundy hit the home run off of Rogers, and we had to shoot right to New York to start the series against the Yankees.
Pretty good bunt by Puckett and a good feeling play by Glavine, but the sacrifice is good. That play surprised you, Tom?
Yes, very much so. Why? Because the guy's got power. He can hit one shot. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
406 hitter this year against left-handed pitching, but he is struggling. 2 for 17.
It's so early in the game.
Yep.
You want to get one run now, or you want to try to get more?
Well, we'll see what comes of it. A successful sacrifice for the Twins here in the fourth. And with a crack at the RBI, it's going to be Chili Davis. Runner at second, one out.
Comparing that 1981 season, Tommy, I mean, you would think, you played on a Monday afternoon. Monday got the home run on Monday, and the next night you're in the series. Your team had to be dog-tired, similar to the Braves, clinching in only 1 day's rest going into the World Series.
That's right, and going into Yankee Stadium playing the Yankees wasn't easy either. We lost the first two, and of course, we go back home just as the Braves, and we won 3 there, and then went into New York and won the 4th straight in New York, which was a tremendous victory for us because, Timmy, in my first 2 years as the manager of the Dodgers, we were in the Fall Classic against the Yankees both times. And when I used to go to bed at night and say my prayers, I said, Lord, if you can see it in your heart to put us in another Fall Classic, make it be against the Yankees. And in '81, we got them.
Pickoff play doesn't pay off for the Braves. You pray a lot, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do.
Chili Davis fouled out to first his first time. He could put the Twins on top here in the fourth. Into center field for Gant. The runner tags at second. 2 out, and Knobloch moves along to third, and a fine throw by Gant made it closer than it looked like it was going to be.
You know, it looked like Pendleton had his left foot in front of the bag, and a lot of times when infielders do that, they try to spin the runner off, and if a runner hook slides into the bag, you can be spun off the bag. Watch the left foot of Terry Pendleton. See how he tries to spin him off the bag, and Knobloch, it looks like his left foot's off, but his right foot hangs on there.
That's a trick they learned in the Cardinal organization, Timmy.
You can do it easily with shin guards on. That's right.
It's up to Brian Harper with 2 out and ball 1.
It is a catcher's trick. Watch Pendleton right there. He leaves that left foot in there, and he tries to spin Knobloch off the bag, but the power of Knobloch and those strong legs of his, he goes right through that left foot.
Strike to Harper, 1-1. Some of these Braves personnel tell us that they fear Brian Harper in the Twins lineup as much as anybody because he's such a good contact hitter, and he batted .311 this year. 2 balls and a strike. No score. We're in the fourth. Runner at third, 2 out. Well, he's persistent with that low and away delivery, isn't he, Tim?
Make them reach. That's how a lot of pitchers hit guys out, by making them reach.
Leadoff single by Knobloch. He was bunted down to second. He's at third with 2 out. Out of play. And it stays 2-2. $50,000 plus here in Fulton County Stadium. 3-2. Got him, and we're still scoreless. Another man left for the Twins. They've left 2, lost 1 runner. We're still scoreless.
No score, bottom of the 4th. I think that last at-bat probably told more about this World Series than any at-bat so far. The Minnesota Twins make more contact than any team in baseball. But Tommy Glavine, with that great circle change, another look at it, strikes out Brian Harper, one of the more difficult hitters in baseball to strike out. That is 34 strikeouts in this World Series. Only 2 by pitchers. That's about 8 a game. That's not the Minnesota Twins during the season. Great credit to Atlanta's pitching, and that's a big difference in this series.
And good strategy, too, by Tommy Glavine and the Atlanta pitchers. Get ahead with strikes and get them out with balls.
Here's Gant to lead it off in the home 4th. Ball 1 from Kevin Tapani. Gant struck out his first time. He's a package of dynamite who can explode at any time. Ball 2. Tapani has struck out 3 and walked 1. Base hit.
Two balls and no strikes. Hitters are different hitters when they're ahead in the count. They look in one zone, a smaller zone, and if they get that pitch, they rip it, and that's what Ron Gant did.
Scott Leyes got off the deck but couldn't grab that one, and we might see some more running by the bridge.
I don't think there's any question. They are going to test Brian Harper. The way to combat that is to pitch out if you're Tom Kelly. And Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, calls the pitch outs for Brian Harper.
Justice hits it into left field. It carries well, and it is gone.
Fastball away to Dave Justice, and Justice, when he hits it, knew he hit it well, and probably saying to himself, "Top this." The ball hit the top of the fence, bounces over, and the breaks continue to go Atlanta's way. Dave Justice with a big, big home run.
This is a dangerous ballpark, as you just saw. Still nobody out, and Sid Green takes ball 1, ball 2.
Tapani gave up 23 home runs during the year.
That's ball 3.
That's one of the bad things, Jack, about a guy who doesn't walk a lot of hitters. Sometimes they become wild in the strike zone. That a fat fastball to Justice. Did he ever capitalize on it?
That's ball 4, the second walk given by the Minnesota pitcher. 3 in a row have reached base for Atlanta. And a home run hit right on top of the fence, did it?
They all count. Doesn't matter whether you hit it 500 feet or 331 feet over 337.
Justice, who hit that home run, hit only 2 opposite field home runs during the regular season. He picked the right time to stroke that one. Olson hits it hard, foul, 1-1. David Justice, his second World Series homer. Strike to Olson, who singled his first time.
Got a pitcher that is always around the plate. You have a contact hitter. Braves trying to capitalize. They have the Twins spinning backwards. A good time for a hit and run here.
Sid Bream is gone. And it hits the runner. It's a base hit for Olson. Bream is out for the first out of the inning. You never know what you're going to see in a baseball game. You never know. That looked like a perfect hit and run single.
Well, they changed that from a hit and runner to hit and run to a hit and runner. Watch Sid Bream. He's looking, and now the ball just catches up to his left heel, and he is out. Here it is right here. Right there, the ball hitting his left heel. And Sid Bream is out, but it scored a base hit for Greg Olson. I don't know whether Knobloch could have recovered in time. Knobloch was covering second base, so the hole was vacant, but could he have recovered in time to get back and make the play? I don't think so.
Now Lemke drills one into right center field. Did he do it? Off the wall. The run will score. Lemke going for third. He makes it.
Seems like there are about 3 Mark Lemkes in the lineup. They come from everywhere. The winning run last night, driving in the winning run 2 nights ago. We talked about Chili Davis earlier. That's a very tough play, however, to judge Chili Davis on. I think even experienced right fielders, guys who had played right field all season, would have had a tough play trying to catch up to that ball.
I concur. Now, the pitching coach goes to the mound. Who is this little man? What a perfect time he picked to get hot.
Here's Chili Davis trying to catch up to the drive by Mark Lemke. And it's off his glove, slamming into the wall. He's all right. But an experienced right fielder would have had a tough time with that ball as Terry Leach gets up and starts throwing quickly. We talked about the front shoulder of Dave Justice and that front foot. Remember, we talked about it. We talked about it in several games. Well, watch how Justice approaches this fastball. He doesn't pull that front foot out of there, nor does he pull that shoulder out of there. And good things happen right off the top of the fence.
Now we have a potential. Here's a base hit into left by Belliard. And that drives home Lemke. A double for Raphael, and it's 4-0 Atlanta.
That's what they're shooting for. Belliard with his first extra base hit of the series. And the Atlanta Braves have hit for the cycle in this inning. Single, double, triple, home run.
Now block. The runner goes to third. Glavine is out for the second out. They've hit for the cycle with another base hit thrown in for good measure. And it is 4-0. Tom Kelly and Bobby Cox think ahead to the remainder of this game, plus Game 6 up in Minnesota Saturday. There's another rally cap on the Atlanta bench. It's the Sherlock Holmes look.
Jeff Treadway, I think, has Jeff Lauser's hat.
Lonnie Smith was going to bunt, took a strike. He had Leyes playing deep with that runner at third. Single by Gant, home run by Justice, walk to Breed, single by Olson, double, triple by Lemke, a double by Belliard. Glavine grounded out. One and two to Smith. Tapani is due to bat fourth in the Minnesota fifth. The Twins bench, they've fallen behind 4-0, fourth inning. And that ends 4 innings of play.
Nothing Atlanta. We go to the top of the fifth. To hit pitchers like Glavine and Tapani the second time around, you better make adjustments. Atlanta batting coach Clarence Jones talked to the Braves hitters about making the necessary adjustments. Give up half of the plate and take half for yourself. David Justice, who had been retired on a lot of outside pitches, says, okay, I'm going to look for the pitch in the outside part, as a lot of the Atlanta hitters have done. And they've had success doing it. Little assist from that man.
That's Clarence Jones, the hitting coach of the Braves. And here we go into the fifth. Tom Glavine with a 4-0 lead gets ahead to Scott Leyes, who singled in the second. It will be Leyes, Herbert, and Gagne, and if anybody gets on, Tapani. And probably a pinch hitter. One and two. Now let's go up here and take a seat. Out in the corner, we're at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, Game 5, and the Braves are doing it to the Twins, leading 4-0 in the fifth, and strike three to Leyes. Second strikeout for Glavine. He is a tough hurler when you give him a 4-run lead. His earned run average 2.55 during the year, third best in the league. Herbeck. Lemke. 2 out. These Braves fans are aware of the fact that this is the last they'll see of their team at home this year. They'll give all the support they can.
Unless it's after the season and they return from Minneapolis as world champions. If they win tonight, they need 1 of 2 in the Twin Cities. They have Steve Avery and John Smoltz if it goes 7. Scott Erickson and Jack Morris for the Twins if it goes 7.
Gagne sports it foul.
But the important thing from a Twins standpoint tonight is that Scott Erickson will pitch on Saturday, and there is concern about Scott Erickson and his fastball. Jim Cott talking his last start about the fact that it's about 5 miles an hour slower than it has been during the season. A 20-game winner, but he has not had a good second half and not a good postseason.
Gene Larkin is on deck. He'll bat for Tapani if Gagne gets on. Two and one. Gagne doubled his first time up. Pendleton boots it. Save at first base. Another bang-bang play down there, and an error for Pendleton with 2 out.
Whenever a third baseman plays shallow enough, then he could incur some problems with the cutout section of the infield. That ball coming up on Pendleton, I don't know whether the hop hit that cutout or not, but that's one of the problems you have when you play that shallow. The play very close at first base. Bang, bang. Yeah, it looked like it may have hit the cutout right there, and it came up on Pendleton, and he couldn't recover in time. An error on Terry Pendleton.
With 2 out to bring up the pinch hitter Larkin. And ball 1. Each team has made an error in this game. Larkin could cut in on the Atlanta 4-0 lead. Ball 2. This is such a good hitter's park that when you boot a ball in this park or walk somebody, you're really open for trouble. Larkin's 1 for 2 in the series. Pendleton gets another chance and gets a force out to send us into the bottom of the 5th. Braves on top, 4-0. Top of the order, bottom of the 5th. Atlanta coming to bat and leading 4-0. And they'll be up against Terry Leach in relief of Kevin Tapani. Twins were looking for something better than that from Tapani, weren't they?
Well, they got it the first time out. Not this time out. Junior Ortiz will, in all probability, be the catcher on Saturday night when Scott Erickson pitches. Ortiz caught 28 of 32 starts this year for Scott Erickson.
Well, we're getting close to Sunday, and it all starts at 12:30 on CBS, the NFL Today. Bears at New Orleans, San Francisco at Philly, Rams at Atlanta, and Green Bay at Tampa Bay. And there's some 4 o'clock games as well. Dallas at Detroit and Minnesota at Phoenix. It all starts with the NFL Today. With Terry, Greg, Leslie, and Pat O'Brien, who is doing double duty.
Rams in Atlanta tomorrow. There was a Ram in Atlanta last night. Lonnie Smith into Brian Harper.
Right. Let's see what happens with Pendleton leading off against Leach. And ball 1. It'll be Pendleton, Gannon, Justice. Leach appeared in game 3. Off his leg, and he won't get it. First hit for Pendleton tonight.
Have the Atlanta Bats ever come alive in the last 2 innings? It looked like the right leg, that ball bouncing off the right leg of Terry Leach. Tom Kelly trying to keep this game from getting out of reach. A 4-run Atlanta lead. He has the right pitcher out there as far as ground balls is concerned. Terry Leach with that underhand motion, a ground ball pitcher.
Well, I think Tom Kelly is waiting right now for Rick Reed. They're unhappy with the strike zone. Kevin Tapani voiced some opinion, and now Tom Kelly, as is a manager's custom, is waiting for Reed to come out there, and this discussion is about where are some of those pitches.
So Rick Reed allows the Twins skipper to have his say.
Now, see, you can't argue balls and strikes. If you do, you're thrown out of the game. So this is a diplomatic way of arguing balls and strikes with Rick Reed.
Harry Wendelstedt has something to say to the manager. I can imagine he'll give you an earful, huh? He's been terrific with us when we visit with him before each game. Well, he's a little frustrated. He's in danger of losing all 3 down here in Atlanta. That's not unusual when these Braves get hot. To wipe the visitors out. Gant is up. And a strike from Terry Leach. Gant started the 4th inning uprising with a single. One and one. Braves have done some running tonight. This Atlanta team has been tenacious all year. Pendleton's going. And a hit for Gant. Pendleton goes to third. The throw into second stops Gant at first.
Harry Pendleton running with a bad left knee. He will have an operation on that knee after the season is over. But when you hit it this far and this hard, when you're running, you can slide into third easily. That's what Pendleton does. Gant forced to stop because Gladden's throw properly back into second.
First and third and nobody out. Leach to Justice. And ball one. There's Terry Pendleton. He has Twins on the way.
How ironic.
Playing Minnesota in the series, and he has 2 more youngsters who will be arriving on the scene. Justice has struck out and homered. And for better or worse, Terry Leach is out there. There's no one warming in the bullpen. Pendleton singled. He's at third. Gant got his second hit. He's at first, and he might run. Two and one. This year, the New York Mets came to Atlanta, lost all 6. Cardinals came down here and lost all 6. These Braves can be tough at home. They're trying to win their 3rd in a row from the Twins. And the red clay of Georgia. Great play by Hrbek. He goes for 2, but he only gets 1 and a run scored.
That's a great play to come up with it, but he went to the wrong base. He's got to come home with that ball. You're not going to double up Justice on a play like that. The only play is to come home to prevent the run from scoring. And they have Pendleton dead at home. So he gets an out, but he gets the wrong out at second base. The play's in front of him. You do not see Ken Hrbek make a mistake like that too often, but he clearly made one there. Ron Gant going in hard to Greg Gagne. That's a situation you don't even want to trade a double play for a run, because it's a 4-0 lead that makes it 5.
That's what it is, 5-0, and Justice, another RBI, his third of the night. He's at first with 1 out, and Bream is up. Justice is going. And he is safe.
Let's go back to the mistake by Ken Hrbek. Runners at first and third, nobody out. You can't afford another run, even with a double play. But there's no double play on this. An easy play coming home to get Pendleton, and Hrbek making a mistake going to Gagne at second base.
There you go. That makes it 5-0. And now Justice at second with 1 out. 1-1 to Bream. That ball's foul. Just.
That was a pert near right there, about a half a foot. A pert near, about a half a foot foul.
That puts Bream in the hole, 1-2. And it goes out of the reach of Elias, who tried as hard as he could.
One thing you want to do, if you go into a dugout, you want to have your own teammates in there. Elias looking down and now looking in. And they're trying to help him. You see Al Newman right there trying to catch him. And Elias grabbing the railing and swinging around. He's all right.
High in the air for Puckett. The runner tags at second. And stays 2 out. There's Ron Gant, who's contributed to this game. And Terry Pendleton got a hit and scored a run in this inning. Justice perched at second, 2 out. Greg Olson is up. He has 2 hits and a stolen base and a run scored. Stolen base by Olson. The second inning, the first in World Series play by a catcher in 7 years. He had only 1 during the regular season. That should end the inning. Hrbek is there. And Atlanta gets another run. They leave 1, they've left 4. We'll return to Fulton County Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron continues the 25-year tradition of World Series appearances. And following tonight's game, the Spirit departs for the home base, Pompano, Florida. Pompano Beach, Florida. We thank them for the pictures. Pretty pictures here in Atlanta. Now the score is 5-0 Braves. 6th inning. And the top of the Twins order, Dan Gladden 0 for 2 against Tom Glavine. Glavine trying to win his first postseason game ever. Gladden, Knobloch, and Puckett. One and one. These Twins are just as capable as the Braves are of putting hits together. Out of play, 1-2.
Twins will try to peck away, get a few men on for the big thumpers to come up there. A guy like Chili Davis or Kirby Puckett, Ken Herbeck.
Score can change in a hurry in this park. Ron Gant calls for it. One out. We're at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Game 5 of the '91 World Series. And the Braves got 4 in the fourth, added another in the fifth, and they lead it 5-0.
David Justice with the 2-run home run, and that just opened the eyes of the Atlanta Braves. Talk about the eyes of the pitchers. That's some great shots of Steve Avery, Tom Glavine. The hitters can open some eyes too, and David Justice did that, like that explosion in the fourth inning. The 2-run homer, that was followed by 2 more runs, and the Braves tacked on a run in the fifth.
Ball 2 to Chuck Knobloch. Hitting next in this inning, Kirby Puckett. Hasn't walked any. Has 2 strikeouts.
It's easy to hit in a situation like this, because even if Glavine throws a strike, you know you're going to get another fastball right down the pipe.
He walks Knobloch ahead of Puckett with 1 out.
You still have to do it, but if big league hitters know what's coming, and if that ball had been a strike, he would have known that it was going to be a fastball again, because Glavine, a walk is, from a psychological standpoint, is very bad on a pitcher's psyche when you have a 5-run lead. Scoreless ball game in the fourth inning when David Justice walked to the plate with Ron Gant on base, and here's what happened. Off the top to put the Braves on top, and they've been on top since.
We saw Dan Gladden look in the glove, thinking perhaps he picked it off the top of that 10-foot fence. 1 on, 1 out here. Puckett 0 for 1 with a sacrifice. Into right for a hit for Kirby. And the lead runner on to third base and down to second. Everybody's safe. So the Twins do some daring base running, even though they're behind by 5, and they pull it off.
But a very poor play by David Justice. You have a 5-run lead, you throw the ball to second base. If it's right for Knobloch, and Knobloch's a good base runner, if he thinks it's right to go to third when they're 5 runs down, the outfielder should think the opposite. That if he thinks he can make it, I'm not going to get him, so I'll go to second base. And instead of 1 runner being in scoring position, now the Twins have 2 in scoring position.
And one of their big hitters up.
Justice misses the cutoff man, coupled with the fact that the double play isn't in order either.
Well, the Braves throwing the ball around. The infield is back with 1 out. Runners at second and third, and Chili Davis up 0 for 2. Ball 1 to him. A walk and a single. Puts Knobloch at third. And Puckett at second, one out. Sixth inning. Ball two to Chile.
See what that walk did? It really got Glavine in trouble. 4 straight balls to Knobloch. That was the first walk of the game, given up by Tommy Glavine, and now Pendleton and Olson out there to talk to him.
Let's hear from Jim Cott at this point of the proceedings.
Jimmy, you make a good point when big league hitters know what's coming because you got a big lead. And from a pitcher standpoint, what happens, you quit pitching and you start throwing with the comfortable lead. And I think that's what Glavine's doing right now.
You have to continue to pitch like it's a close game. It's tough to do psychologically because you realize you have a cushion.
2-0 to Chile. And that ball's going to be out of play. We saw Clancy, the right-hander, and Merker, the left-hander, spring into action down in the right field corner. Davis knows he's up in a key spot. There's Clancy. Now Merker throwing. That's out of play, 2-2. Tim looking back at that 5th run scored by Atlanta. It looms large in this situation.
That was a mistake. We talked about Ken Herbeck. Instead of going home, he went to second base. Minnesota Twins with only 1 hit in their last 24 at-bats with runners in scoring position.
To Davis. During his career, Davis is 2 for 7 against Glavine with a couple of home runs. Loads him up with 1 out. Second walk by the Atlanta hurler. Twins have loaded the bases for Ryan Harper with only 1 out. A walk, a single, and a walk. So this game heats up a little. Atlanta breezing coming into the 6th, 5-0. But look at the situation now. Harper grounded to second and struck out. Bases loaded, 1 out. One and one. Two balls and a strike. Chuck Knobloch at third. Kirby Puckett at second. Chili Davis walked. He's at first. And Glavine behind on the count. 2-1 to Brian Harper. Three and one.
Glavine pitching defensively in an offensive situation. He's got a 5-run lead and he's forgotten it.
Toughest time to throw a strike is when you have to. Boy, does he have to.
There's a big difference, Kitty, between I will and I have to.
Yep.
That's a run for the Twins, the first of their night. First of the night for them. 3 walks in the inning. An RBI for Harper. Knobloch scores. and it's going to bring the tying run to the plate.
I think if Bobby Cox makes a move here, it won't be because of the way Glavine is throwing, but it'll be because of the way Glavine is thinking right now. He's thinking defensively, and he's not throwing strikes and staying ahead. He's still in good shape as far as the score is concerned, but that could change in a hurry with the bases loaded and one out.
He's going to stay with Glavine, and the tying run is at the plate. Scott Liss. He is singled and struck out. Bases loaded, one out, a run home for the Twins here in the sixth. And he still can't find the strike zone.
That's why a lot of pitching coaches, when you have a lead like this, as you leave the bench, they'll say, hey, 1-0 game now. Keep using all your pitches. Pitch.
Glavine, for 9 innings, allowed 2.5 walks per game during the season. 3 walks in this inning. And ball 2.
And he's down to 1 pitch right now, the fastball, and he can't get it over. He has been up and away to the right-handed batters. Wild up and away.
Ball 3.
About the only thing that'll get a pitcher out of a rut like this and back into a groove is think double play. Not think about I have to throw a strike, but I want to throw a ground ball.
Change a negative thought into a positive thought.
Yes, we'll take a pitch.
Might take twice.
Ball 4 makes it 5-2. The 4th walk by Glavine. A run batted in for Liss. The tying runs are on base. And here comes the hook for Tommy Glavine. And the left-hander Kent Mercker dashes in from the bullpen. Glavine hadn't walked a man coming into the 6th inning, and now he's walked 4. He's out of the game. He walked 3 in a row. He ties a couple of series records, most base on balls in an inning, most consecutive walks. And the new pitcher is Kent Mercker. The only luxury he has is that of pitching to a left-handed batter, but a dangerous hitter. Hrbek, bases loaded, 1 out. Ball 1, and my, how this game has changed. The leadoff man retired in the 6th. Looked like a breeze for Glavine and the Braves. A walk, a single, a walk, and a walk. Did he leave him in too long, Tim?
I don't think so.
There's finally a strike. Listen to the crowd.
What do you think?
Well, he gave him every chance. I was surprised that the pitching coach didn't go out there and talk to him.
Yeah, you had Pendleton and Greg Olson out there. And Leo Mazzoni not making a move, but usually big league pitchers right themselves. They make the adjustments. You can't make them for them.
Tying runs on base. Ball to shortstop. The play only to first. A run scores, and it's 5-3. Run batted in for Hrbek. And runners at 2nd and 3rd, 2 out.
I think that play in the bottom of the 5th inning by Ken Hrbek looms large now. Remember when the runners were on at 1st and 3rd and nobody out, Hrbek went to 2nd base. Would be a 1-run ball game, but now it's a 2-run ball game as the potential tying runs move to 3rd and 2nd.
And Greg Gagne bats against the left-handed pitcher, and a base hit out of the infield would likely tie it up. Ball 1. Crowd behind home plate groaned on that one. It's 5-3. We're only in the 6th. Headed for another nail biter here. Scooped by Lemke. And the Braves still lead by 2. That was a heck of a chance. Hard hit ball by Gagne. 2 left for the Twins. They've left 5, but they have made it a 5-3 game. Things have changed here in Atlanta. The Braves come to bat with only a 2-run lead. Lemke is going to lead it off. Lemke has had triples in his last 2 games. His last 2 official at-bats. And the last player with triples in consecutive games was Dr. Bobby Brown, the president of the American League.
That was before he was a doctor, right?
Right. Tim, you know the last National League player before Lemke to have triples consecutive games as Mark takes a strike?
Is that a trick question? I don't know.
Oh,
Who
yes,
is it?
you know.
I do not.
You know. It was you.
Oh, come on.
And 68.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I would have known it. If it me, I'd have known it. So Tim McCarver did it in 68 against the Tigers.
Yeah, that's a gotcha.
It's Leach pitching to Lemke. He's in the hole 1-2.
I don't know what kind of company that puts Lemke in.
Puts you in the boat with Lemke and Dr. Bobby Brown. And this gentleman, Mark Lemke, the Atlanta second baseman, made a heck of a play on that last out in the top of the inning. Leach allowed a run in the 5th in relief of Tapani. 2-2. Lemke has walked, tripled, driven in a run, scored a run. Leading off in the 6th. 3-2.
Got a good shot of that submarine motion of Terry Leach. We mentioned it the other night about how he cannot throw a breaking ball that goes down from that pitching motion.
Down goes Lemke. For a strikeout for Leach, that's his first of the game.
And a rare strikeout for Terry, that underarm delivery. And he is a contact pitcher. You know, it's funny, they have the radar gun on most pitchers. I guess for a submariner, they put a sonar gun on him, right?
That's what they need. He doesn't throw that hard. He relies on the movement of his pitches as he works to belly arm. And he hits one to deep short. Gagne picks it, 2 out. The Braves, who have left 4. Here's Tommy Gregg, and he's going to bat for Merker, who did the job for the Braves, retiring 2. And Gregg is 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter in the series.
It was the bullpen of the Minnesota Twins that was highly touted coming in with their consecutive innings work, 32 2/3 before the Aguilera walk the other night. But it's the Atlanta Brave bullpen that has done a terrific job in the past 3 games here. Jim Cott talking about their bullpen underrated before game 1 in this series.
There's Jim Clancy. He'll take over and work the 7th. Leach with 2 out. Pitching to Tommy Gregg. In there, 1-2. Problem with a pitcher like Leach, he is unique. You just don't see that sort of pitching in the big league, that style. It stays 1-2. And a World Series souvenir. Pitcher is due to lead it off in the next inning for the Twins. So this will be all for Leach.
See, that was that type of breaking ball that you have to throw when you release the ball down like that. It's not a breaking ball that can go down when it's in the strike zone. It's a breaking ball that stays on a level plane.
Two to Gregg. 5 in a row retired by Leach at this point. Greg hits it to right, and it'll be handled by Chili Davis for the final out of the 6th inning, and it is 5-3 Atlanta. Before we play the 7th inning, let's have a Fonda's World Series memory from the noted baseball writer Roger Angel.
In the 5th game of the 1968 World Series, the Tigers and the Cardinals, Lou Brock was on second base. The Cardinals were already ahead. Late in the game, Javier singles, and Brock comes around third base, heads for the plate, and for some reason he doesn't slide. Bill Freehan blocks him off with his left foot. Brock's foot comes down, just misses the edge of the plate, knocked away, and all the pictures the next day showed Brock's foot just missing the edge of that plate by 1/4 of an inch.
That's what Roger Angel remembers most. Doug Harvey was the umpire. They talked about that play for a long time.
A brilliant block of home plate by Bill Freehan, and the Tigers came back to win 3 in a row after the Cardinals team that was on.
Here's a fair ball to Bream by the pinch hitter Pagliarulo, and he is the first out against Jim Clancy here in the 7th inning.
Pagliarulo, first ball hitting. Little backhand by Bream, and he makes it look easy. And I'll tell you that we didn't make it look easy in that 68 series. Ahead 3-1, and the Tigers coming back and winning the last 3. Jim Clancy 1-0 in this World Series.
He won that extra inning game the other night, game 3. He deals with Dan Gladden. Ball 1. Gladden 0 for 3. Braves leading by 2, and one of those runs they probably should not have had. Foul ball by Gladden.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of probably, really. Because runners at first and third with nobody out. Ground ball to Ken Herbeck. He elected to go to second, giving up another run even if they complete the double play. He only got 1 out of it. No further runs scored. But had he come home, then the Twins get out of that inning, and instead of a 2-run game, it's a 1-run game.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Clancy with Houston for most of the season. Braves picked him up for the stretch drive, and he pitched some good baseball for him. Two and two. The second out of the 7th inning. And Gladden's 0 for 4.
That looked like a splitter from Jim Clancy. The reason that pitch was popularized, obviously, because it's so effective. It serves as the illusion of a strike, but it dives out of that strike zone.
Knoblauch with 2 out, ball 1. Chuck is fly to right, single, walked, and scored. Glavine, Merker, now Jim Clancy. Ball 2.
He ducked under that ball. That's the pitch that pitchers don't get anymore. That is one of the criticisms of umpires. That ball right around the belt, just above the belt. Few umpires will give that pitch anymore.
Got a pitch down, down, down. Like that, 2-1. It's the 3rd World Series game for Clancy. Strike, 2 and 2. Fans to their feet. Everybody up. Got him. And we're into the 7th inning stretch time. With the Braves still on top, 5-3.
Five to 3 Atlanta lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. David West is the new pitcher, and Jim Cott on the field. You got to believe that David West would have been the optional starter on Saturday, and his appearance here would make that call questionable if Tom Kelly elects to go to a different pitcher than Scott Erickson.
Yeah, I think Minnesota getting back into this game and still being 2 runs behind actually works against Tom Kelly's pitching plans, because now if you're Tom Kelly, you say, hey, we at least have a chance, so I'm putting my best guy out there, David West, in this situation. And if it were still 5-0, I think he'd be on the bench and would be an optional starter or used early in Game 6. So the brief rally or coming close can kind of work against those pitching plans.
Of course, that doesn't prevent Kelly from using Erickson to start the game, to have Atlanta with a right-handed pitcher line up in there, namely Sid Green, and then maybe bring David West in if you find out early that Scott Erickson doesn't have a step.
Lonnie Smith starts the home half of the 7th, and the pinch hitter, Mike Pagliarulo, takes over at 3rd. Stays in the lineup, so West hits where Leyes had been. Lonnie hits it high, hits it deep. There she goes.
Blanket statements in baseball, but in my opinion, the most dangerous area to pitch any hitter is down and in. Watch where this pitch is.
Down and in. 3rd home run of the World Series for Lonnie.
3 straight games. That's the first since Reggie Jackson did it back in 1977.
And the batter is Pendleton. Ball 1 to him. Ball 2 from David West. The score 6-3.
See, when that ball's down and in, all a hitter has to do is just drop the bat head on it. Just drop the bat head. And that it's down and in, and it creates lift. You get under it, and it goes.
Ball 3 to Pendleton. What's he trying to do? Become the MVP of the series?
I think Mark Lemke is right now. Right to this date, but Lonnie Smith has certainly contributed mightily to the Brave cause.
And a walk to Pendleton with nobody out here in the 7th inning.
Of course, that could change Saturday night if the Twins lose this game. I mean, they could go back up there and win on Saturday, and then you have Smoltz and Morris again on Sunday night.
Let's join Jim Cott.
Now, Tim, you make that point about down and in. You know what helped pitchers before the designated hitter when you could hit is every now and then you would hit one as a pitcher that was down and in. And you'd say, man, was that easy? Then as a pitcher, you realize that's a zone I want to stay out of.
Yeah, first-hand experience, huh?
Pendleton at first, nobody out. Gant the batter. And West falls behind. There's one thing about these Twins that you have to remember. Their home record this year. Ball 2 to Gant. At home this season, the Twins were 21 games over 500. 51 and 30. So no matter what happens here tonight, they're still in this 91 World Series. Ball 3 to Gant.
They do have the home field advantage. They have won 6 straight World Series games at home. However, this time at home, they'll be facing Steve Avery and John Smoltz if it goes to 7.
And we mentioned a couple of times, it bears repeating, they are concerned about Scott Erickson, slated to pitch Saturday. Another walk by West.
One more look at Lonnie Smith's 3rd home run of the World Series. All of them here in Atlanta.
That made it 6-3, and now the Braves are churning again. David West in this series has faced 5 batters. He has walked 4 and allowed a home run to this man. And falls behind David Justice, who has a 2-run homer and another RBI. He could blow this one wide open. It's 6-3 in the 7th Atlanta. Second is Pendleton, and at first, nobody out. Score, get to 3rd, 7-3. Four runs batted in for Justice tonight. The manager coming out. We've got a double switch coming up. And we have a new pitcher coming in. We'll be watching Steve Bedrosian.
A pitcher's head always turns around in direct proportion to how hard the ball is hit. Watch David West on the home run by Lonnie Smith. Right there. Watch the head jerk around as quickly as the ball was hit.
You got it.
Well, the head turns around in direct proportion to how hard that ball is hit. If that were a pop-up, you'd see that head going around very slowly, but not on a home run.
Timmy, now I know why so many pitchers had to go see chiropractors.
Right.
I never realized why I did that.
Steve Bedrosian is the new hurler. And a double switch, and Al Newman is playing second base. Knobloch is out of the game. Newman batting 9th. Bedrosian batting in the number 2 spot. Braves still in business here in the 7th. 1st and 3rd. Nobody out. And we have a pinch hitter for Sid Breed, Brian Hunter. Infield in for the play at the plate, and a hit by Hunter. And another run for Atlanta, 8-3. Still nobody out. Olsen. He's already had 2 hits tonight. next World Series game is going to be Saturday night from the Metrodome, where the Twins fans will have a chance to howl. No matter what the game situation, it'll be a good one with Avery against Erickson. This is the last game here for 1991. 2 balls and a strike to Greg Olson. First and second, nobody out. 8-3 Atlanta. Reached base. Ball 3. One of the Minnesota coaches, Wayne Kuhn-Williger. We'll have the day off tomorrow along with these other Twins. Runners are going. In the center for Puckett to try to track down, and he will. And the runners return. First and second, 1 out. Three runs in this inning for Atlanta. Lemke for president. There he is. 1 for 2 with a walk. Triple RBI, run scored. 6 hits in the series. To Lemke. Well, these Atlanta fans had only a couple of more innings in 1991 to chop and chant and cheer and enjoy Atlanta baseball. There's Jack Morris. He'll pitch game 7 if we have one. I wonder what Pat O'Brien is up to at this moment.
Well, Jack, about a year ago, Lou Piniella and the Reds had swept the Oakland A's as there is a visitor. And what do you make of this World Series?
It's been an exciting World Series, Pat. It's been a home-and-home series all the way. First 2 games, Minnesota at home, and these 3 games, it looks like Atlanta's in control.
We're going to have to live with this chop for a while. What do you think of the chop and the chant?
Well, I think the Reds will be back next year, so maybe we can quiet this chop down in Atlanta a little bit.
Lemke for president. Another triple.
Triples in this series for Mark Lemke, and 2 in this game.
And the score has gone to 10-3.
3 triples in consecutive games for Mark Lemke.
Batter Belliard, infield in with 1 out.
He's at second base, and watch his decision. He looks and then continues. Like a revolving door out there on that infield as far as the Braves are concerned tonight.
This is the 8th man to bat in the inning. Another hit, 11-3. Let's go back to Pat O'Brien.
Interrupted there by Mark Lemke. What do you think of that kid?
I'm going to tell you what. He played exceedingly well for Atlanta down the stretch, and he's done a heck of a job in postseason play. From me watching these ball games, he's my MVP in this series right now.
Where was your hospitality last year? How come you didn't give us 5, 6, 7 games in the World Series?
Well, our ball club played very well, and we caught Oakland not playing quite as well, and we were fortunate to win 4 in a row. But I'll tell you what, the fans here in Atlanta, and with the Tomahawks and the fans in Minnesota with their Hanks, it's just been exciting.
I want to ask you about Bucky Showalter, who used to be named manager of the New York Yankees. How do you think Buck will do?
I think he'll do a good job. He knows the organization well. He's a good baseball man. He's paid his dues, and he deserves a chance, and I hope he does well.
How they got you here? You know what it's like coming into the National League Park without a designated hitter. What about that in this league?
Well, it's a little more difficult for the American League manager. They got the DH all year. For the National League manager, it's a little easier to manage with the DH in the lineup. You don't really have to make all that many moves. But for the American League manager, not using the DH all year, it takes a little while with the double switches and saving your people at the right time and so forth. So it's more of an adjustment for Kelly than it is for Bobby Cox.
Should you have started Chili Davis? It's easy to sit up here, I know.
Hey, listen, I'm over here watching you. These guys out here did a great job with their respective clubs, and they won. I'm here as a spectator just watching it and trying to do some things to improve our ball club.
Great to see you, Lou.
Thank you, Pat.
Back to you guys.
Nice visit with Pat O'Brien and Lou Piniella. Here's a tremendous roar for Lonnie Smith. Up with a runner at first, 2 out after Clancy Fan. And a wild pitch sends Belliard to second. This game out of hand for the Twins, who trail 11-3. Don't forget what it's like back in Minnesota.
And to put a tag on Pat's thought, Chili Davis, starting him tonight had nothing to do with the position the Twins are in right now.
Lonnie Smith, 1 for 4. That was a home run. I know this fellow well, and so does Tim McCarver. He's overcome an awful lot, an alcohol problem, a drug problem, being sent back to the minor leagues, suspended and all. He's hit 3 home runs in the series. And every time he does something, Lemke does something more to try to stay in the forefront of the MVP. But it's a great comeback story for Lonnie Smith. And you know he's enjoying it. His 4th World Series team.
And also Lonnie Smith needed 400 plate appearances this year to have his $1.75 million contract renewed. You know how many he got? 412 plate appearances.
Partly because Otis Nixon failed a drug test and is not here in postseason. 2-2. Lonnie Smith read that sign. You gotta believe he made it come true. Lopsided game in the playoff, which Atlanta won from Pittsburgh 10-3. They've outdone that 11-3, 7th inning. 3-2. Here's Jim Cott.
Kind of interesting watching Lonnie Smith, who could be on his 4th world champion, and on the Braves bench, Juan Berenguer not active. He's been on a few too. He was a big part of this ball club during the year.
And another foul. Lonnie had never had a postseason home run in 47 games until Tuesday night. Now he has 3.
Right, then bang, bang, bang.
Nothing to it. And he still won't go away. Braves have made 6 runs in this inning on 5 hits. At the conclusion of tonight's game, Tim McCarver and Iowa select the Chevrolet most valuable player of the game. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the players' behalf to the Special Olympics. We've already handed one to Mark Lemke in this series. He might do it again tonight. Into left field for Gladden. Now we have played 7, and the Braves lead it 11-3.
Summary is sponsored by AT&T.
David Justice had a 4th inning home run and started the scoring, and he has 4 RBIs. Tommy Glavine threw a shoe and lost a big lead, and then the Braves scored 6 in the 7th, and it's 11-3 in the 8th inning. There's the line score. And the pinch hitter, Brian Hunter, stays in to play first base. He was a successful pinch hitter. Tim Clancy's the hurler. And ball 1 as we start the 8th. Keith Mitchell takes over for Lonnie Smith, who's done enough damage for the night with his 3rd home run of this World Series. Jarvis Brown leading off in the 8th. Welcome back to Belliard. 1 out in the 8th inning, and Clancy has retired 4 in a row. So they got Jarvis Brown into the game for Kirby Puckett, who had been 1 for 3 with a walk.
Yeah, Brown was in Tuesday night's game, but this is the first game in which he hit. He was pinch hit for on Tuesday night.
Puckett 1 for 2. Here's Chili Davis, 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. So when you take Puckett out of the game in the 8th inning, you pretty much say it's over, right? 8-run lead for Atlanta. Ball 2. Can't emphasize too much that Minnesota hometown record. 51-30. Tough to beat in the Metrodome.
Scott Erickson and Steve Avery on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. First pitch, 8:26. Pre-game, 8 o'clock. And then if Game 7 is necessary, John Smoltz against Jack Morris.
Still a lot of playing to be done in the 81 World Series. Count goes to 3-1 to Chile.
Can you imagine looking back on your season as Chili Davis will do, finding 3 innings in the outfield during the regular season, and the only game started in the outfield in 1991, the 5th game of the World Series.
3-2. Gets a hit, 1 for 3. 1 on, 1 out. This pitcher, Jim Clancy, would get a save if he finishes the game, and he would save it for Tommy Glavine. Here's Randy Bush. Batting for the catcher, Brian Harper. Bush, the pinch hitter. Lemke takes the easy out. 2 gone. Well, Tommy, you thought that the Braves got hot down here and they'd be ahead going to Minneapolis.
I felt that they would come home. I thought that Minnesota would have a tough time beating the pitchers down here. The bats finally came alive. This is the way these guys hit throughout the season, as you very well know. But I'll tell you one thing, they're going into tough territory. You know that. And they're going to have to be tough in the Metrodome.
This is the same pattern that occurred back in '87, too.
When Minnesota won the first 2 games at home, went to St. Louis. St. Louis won 3, and then Minnesota won the last 2, games 6 and 7 in Minnesota. The same theme here. And this is the 12th such game that Minnesota's been involved in consecutively.
We're going to find out before we leave here tonight who the Saturday pitcher will be for Minnesota. Who do you think will be, Tom?
Well, I think it will be Erickson, Scott Erickson.
I do, too. I don't think they're going to change it. They may change it tomorrow, but I think right now, in Tom Kelly's mind, Erickson's the pitcher.
Yeah, he's the guy you want to send out in that ball game. They're going to have to win that ball game, no question about it. But this was a big ball game because had Minnesota won it, that meant that these fellas had to go into the Metrodome and win 2. But as this stands now, all they have to do is win 1 game.
Do you like the designated hitter, Tom?
No, absolutely not. The other day was a good indication of it when they start using all those players. The strategy of the game is there. You got to make these moves. You can be in a close ball game 1-1 and the bases are loaded and your pitcher comes to the plate. You got to make a big decision on whether to let that guy hit or take him out. He's your outstanding pitcher, so you go for the runs.
We're in the top of the 8th. Davis down to second with 2 out. And a 2-2 count. Newman, the batter. And chasing it, and he can't get it. That makes it 11-4. And Newman continues to run. And he's into third with a triple. And Gant gets up very slowly.
You admire the enthusiasm of Ron Gant and the hustle of Ron Gant, but in an 11-3 ball game, if I'm the manager of the Atlanta Braves, I don't want Ron Gant diving for a ball like this. What do you think, Tommy?
With you. And also with guys going into the fences. You don't want them going into the fences at this time of the game. It could very easily hurt his shoulder landing that way.
There are certain times to call off the dogs, and I think this was one of them.
Well, he made some attempt at that ball.
Runner at third, Newman, 2 out, and this is Paul Sorrento pinch hitting.
Yeah, I like the thoughts on the designated hitter. You know, as a player, as a pitcher, selfishly, put a few wins on your record. But as a purist enjoying the game of baseball, I know Tom Kelly, the Twins manager, disagrees, but there is a lot more strategy without it.
Yeah, he genuinely, Tim, likes the DH, Kelly does.
Yeah, he really does. He said, guys, people don't come to the ballpark to see pitchers hit. They come to see the hitters hit. You should have 9 hitters in the game.
Managers would have a tendency to like it. They don't have to make any tough decisions.
Like the other night's game.
That's right. You can call in a game on the designated hitter rule.
From home?
From home.
Well, I wouldn't say it could quite do that, but I think the last 2 games are certainly evidence of how much fun it can be without it.
23 players, for instance, used on the Minnesota Twins roster Tuesday night.
That's what makes it very effective is you have to make those decisions. You have to pinch hit for that pitcher. You don't have to do that without the designated with the designated hitter.
Yeah, Tommy, you're serious, Tom. You don't think that the American League managers have to manage as well?
What decisions do they have to make as far as pinch hitting? They don't bunt as much because of the fact that your 9th hitter is a regular. They very rarely hit and run.
3-2 and ball 4 to Sorrento. Tom Lasorda is headed for the booth for the post-game show now. And it's turned out to be a long inning for Jim Clancy with a single, a triple, a walk. And the score is 11-4. Olsen out to chat with his hurler. Down in the bullpen, Alejandro Pena and Mike Stanton. There's a day off tomorrow, so Bobby Cox could use either one of these hurlers. Clancy trying to get the final out. Gagne's the batter. Greg is 1 for 3.
I think even American League managers will tell you it's easier to manage in the American League
they
than
don't
the
argue
National
about
League.
it.
No. I mean, they prepare their players. They're all leaders, but once the game begins, the strategy is almost non-existent. I mean, you do hit and run. You sacrifice occasionally with your 8 and 9 guys. I think American League managers will tell you that, don't you, Kitty?
Yeah, the one decision they have to make is the pitching changes are not automatic because there's no pinch hitters. You do have to make decisions on when to lift your pitchers out and pay very close attention to that, not just the score of the game.
Gagne hits a foul back here. Well, no matter who likes it and who doesn't, we're going to have the DH back in form on Saturday night and Sunday night if necessary.
You know, years ago, if you were a starting pitcher and you were down 2-1, you just stay in the game almost forever. But now managers will pay attention to pitch counts and things like that to make their move in that league.
Gagne to Pendleton. He goes to second, and the force out ends the inning. 1 run for the Twins, and they trail 11-4. Bottom of the 8th inning, home club Atlanta leading 11-4. The aerial shots this evening are from the Spirit of Akron, courtesy of Goodyear Tires. The pilot of the Spirit of Akron is the Captain Drew Marshall from Pompano Beach, Florida. And Carl Willis comes in to become the 5th Minnesota hurler of the night. New catchers, Junior Ortiz. We have a new center fielder. As the Twins trail 11-4, they put Randy Bush in that spot. Well, that's Randy Bush in right field. Jarvis Brown is the center fielder. And Pendleton leads it off here. Strike from Willis. And we have a new first baseman as well. And that's Sorrento, Paul Sorrento. Another hit for Pendleton. In the gap and to the track. A leadoff double in the 8th inning greets Carl Willis. Well, Pendleton swinging the bat a little better, Tim.
A couple of hits tonight. He's also walked and scored a run. All of the Atlanta Braves are swinging the bats well. It's almost like a Casey Kasem top 40 tonight. The hits keep right on coming. You're a Casey Kasem. You a Casey Kasem fan? I am.
Not really. Tim, it's true that the Minnesota fans are probably more crushed by the situation than the Minnesota players. They're able to mentally write it off and say, well, we took a whipping, right?
And they remember 1987, too, when they won the last 2 home games, and they went up against John Tudor, who was having a terrific year for the Cardinals in 1987. He pitched Game 6, and they beat Tudor.
Gant trying to do more damage. And he does. Here comes another run. He's in at third base with nobody out. And that's a dozen, cousin. It's 12-4.
Well, the carousel continues to go round and round and round for the Braves this evening. The decision made right there to go for 3 for Ronnie Gant. And that's Gant's 3rd hit of the night.
3 hits plus a walk. And the next pitch drives David Justice off the plate. Justice has driven home 4 runs. 2-run homer, infield out, RBI single. And he's stolen a base. Ball 1 strike. Well, up apparently these Brave fans have watched the demolishing of the Twins in this final home game of the '91 season in this park. A dozen runs with a good chance to get more. But Saturday is another day. Justice has a 2-2 count. Bobby Cox wants a long vacation when this is over. That gentleman wants a clean sweep. Run scores. Justice out at first, but he gets his 5th run batted in. That makes it 13-4. There goes the 13-run pool. When this kid is 70, he'll be saying, I was at that '91 World Series.
Yeah, and all his friends will be saying, prove it. Nice play by Paul Sorrento as the Atlanta Braves go from a dozen to a baker's dozen.
And that's the first out of the inning. The batter is Hunter. Single and scored. Look at that one go. There she goes. To 4. 5 RBIs by David Justice. The World Series games breaks the Braves record. 4 by Bob Elliott in 1948 against Cleveland. Olsen takes a strike. There's one out in the 8th. You know what they're going to be saying in the Minnesota dugout? I'd rather be beaten 14-4 than 5-4.
Yeah, the regular players will say that. You won't hear any pitchers talking like that. Now with those earned run averages.
Here's another hit by Olsen. It's his 3rd of the night. That's 17 hits for Atlanta. There's a great player of days gone by, Tony Oliva. And there's Chili Davis, who started him right. And here's that man again, Lemke. A walk, 2 triples, 3 runs batted in, 2 for 3.
What a story, Mark Lemke. As you look at Kirby Puckett still out there, Mark Lemke was the only Atlanta infielder with an option left. That means he was eligible to be sent to the minor leagues in spring training.
It's a second, and that's a double play to end the 8th. It's a 14-4 contest. See the World Series note as we look down on the city of Atlanta, the capital of Georgia. They're watching their club for the final time in 1991. Braves 14 runs, most in one game since October of '60 when the Yankees pounded Pittsburgh. There's the line score here. And the Braves apparently will have a 3-2 lead in games played come Saturday night in Minneapolis. They have a new pitcher, Randy St. Clair, and a new catcher, and a foul ball by the hitter. Randy St. Clair into the series for the first time. And Francisco Cabrera behind the plate. Ninth inning, 14-4 Atlanta. I have some interesting post-game interviews for you.
Randy St. Clair, not only his first time in the series, his first time in postseason play. He's the only player on the Atlanta roster who had not performed in a game in postseason play.
Now Urrulo flies it into right center. Justice calls for it and has it. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. 1 out in the Twins' ninth. Now Urrulo 0 for 2. Well, here's one of the few players who's played the entire game, Dan Gladden. 0 for 4. Into right center and in between and to the wall. Gladden with 1 out. Cruises over to third base. We've had a few triples tonight, haven't we? 1 by Gladden, 2 by Lemke, another by Newman.
1 by Gant.
Ball flying all over the place. Junior Ortiz is up. What a mess my score sheet is. Bouncer to third. Pendleton. The runner stays. Now the runner comes home. And he's safe, and it makes it 14-5.
You know, a play like that, he left early, and obviously the Twins are, for all intents and purposes, gone. But Dan Gladden takes an awful big chance by going after the throw. If he went before the throw, Terry Pendleton's going to go to first anyway. As it was, makes a close play out of it. If you go before the throw, if Pendleton elects to come home, well, then it's an unusual play. But going after the throw, he takes a mild chance, but he did score the 5th run of the game for the Twins.
Glavine will be the winner. The loser will be Kevin Tapani. There will be no save. And here's a fly ball that'll end it to Gant. Off the bat of Jarvis Brown, and these Atlanta fans celebrate as they win the game 14-5. This Braves team has been a relentless group all season long. Tom Kelly takes his troops home to prepare them for Saturday. He's down 3 games to 2.
And the Minnesota Twins extend their consecutive losses on the road to 14. That, of course, is a World Series record. 14 losses on the road consecutively. We go back to 1925. When the Washington team won a game on the road. Wow.
What's going to happen up in Minneapolis? Pat O'Brien will be with you when we come back.
Take a look at that line score. 14 runs, 17 hits. Atlanta over Minnesota 14-5. And our Chevrolet MVP is David Justice. The Braves, Chevrolet will donate $1,000 on his behalf to the Special Olympics. Dave Justice, 2 for 5, 1 home run, folks, and 5 RBI. And he's standing by right now with Jim Cott, fellas.
Wow, what a night, David Justice. What I noticed early in the game, you faced Tapani before, got you on that outside pitch. Looked like you made a little adjustment and went after it tonight.
Well, in that particular situation, Ronnie's on first, and I know they're going to give me a fastball, usually first pitch, because if they don't, Ronnie's going to steal. So I was kind of looking for a fastball in that situation. I was kind of looking for it away, and I gave him a pitch I wanted. I didn't expect to hit a home run. I just wanted to hit it hard the other way.
You know, now all the bedlam here, you've swept the Twins at home. But now the task at hand is going back to that Metrodome. Have you guys thought about how you might be able to adjust to the surroundings there?
Well, we know it's going to be tough. I mean, they're a very different team at home. Now they have the DH, and that gives them a big advantage. But it's going to be tough, but I think we can do it. I really think we can take 1 out of 2 up there.
What has it meant to you being right here in front of all these fans, the last home game in Atlanta of 1991?
I tell you what, it feels great. I mean, for us to come out and score like we scored tonight, and with the fan excitement here, I mean, it's just been a wonderful season. And we like to go to Minnesota and hopefully bring home that world championship. And for us, and especially for our fans who support us all year.
David Justice has had a wonderful year, and so have these fans in Atlanta. We're going back to Pat O'Brien.
Thank you very much. Wonderful year indeed. And you mentioned in front of the fans, there still are about 45,000 fans still here. They were singing Bachman Turner Overdrive's Taking Care of Business. And that's what they've done tonight as they head back to Minneapolis. And Jim and Jack Buck and Tim McCarver will take care of some business when we come back here from Atlanta. Stay with us. Welcome back to Atlanta. And there's one thing that you can book in this World Series, and that is that there's tremendous fan support in both cities. Here in Atlanta, thousands are still here, and in Minneapolis, they'll be waiting for us up there. Won't they, fellas? Back up to the booth?
Yeah, they certainly will, Pat. You know, this Atlanta Braves team has been relentless all season long. Now they're within 1 of winning the series. It's the most runs a Braves team has ever scored in postseason, whether it be in Boston, Milwaukee, or Atlanta, and they're tough to handle, Tim.
And the most runs in a World Series game since 1960 when the Yankees beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. Consider the fact that the Atlanta Braves had not won a postseason game before this year. And then they went ahead to beat Pittsburgh 4 out of 7, and then have won 3 out of 5 from Minnesota. Big matchup on Saturday night, and if necessary on Sunday night. Steve Avery on Saturday against Scott Erickson, and then John Smoltz against Jack Morris on Sunday.
Well, let's go back to Pat O'Brien on the heels of a real Atlanta thriller.
All right, guys, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow on the airplane. Tommy Lasorda has some final thoughts as well, and we'll be back with his thoughts and the scene here as our coverage continues after a message and a word from your local station. Stay with us. Welcome back to Atlanta. The other question, I guess, is does anybody sleep in this town? They'll be celebrating again all night tonight, Tom Lasorda. And,
rightly so, Pat. You realize that this city has never produced a world championship in football, basketball, baseball, or hockey.
If you were Tom Kelly right now, what would you be telling the Twins? Get inside.
I would tell my ball club, and I've been in this position before. I said, hey, listen, it's not a best of 5. It's a best of 7. They haven't done anything until they win that 4th game. We're going home where we belong. We're tough. We've already beaten them twice there.
Want to predict an outcome?
Well, I believe it's going to go 7, I'll tell you that. And I'm not going to say who's going to win the 7th yet. I got to start studying this thing.
Start packing. I'll see you on the plane.
Okay, Pat.
Okay, Tommy Lasorda. That about does it for this Game 5. And for all of us at CBS Sports, I'm Pat O'Brien saying good night from Atlanta.